to what was. How can we help people see a brighter future? And my colleague Yasmin, many of you know her, Yaz Arakan, she said, well, when people are afraid, it's hard for them to be imaginative. So maybe what we need to do is help people be more imaginative. And that's when this band of hooligans came together and we started to talk about how we could help people think more imaginatively, more optimistically, more hopefully about the future. So we've prototyped 2 games. We're calling these things workshops, but what you're really helping us do is figure out if this stuff works. Because if it works, we want to roll it out to 30,000 cities and communities in this country. We want to help units of local government. We want to help do-gooders who are trying to do better. We want to help nonprofit organizations and those organizations who are committed to social responsibility, committed as B Corps, to really use this moment as a way to invent and imagine even brighter futures. So for those of you who are coming through this time feeling a little bit embattled, this is going to be like carbonated hope, I think, right? For those of you who are already optimistic and are like, why isn't everybody else seeing the opportunity I'm seeing? This is going to give you a tool in your tool belt. And we offer these webinars free, but we are also asking you to harvest some of what you learn so that all of us can use it, right? So you're going to be working in very small teams today, playing with this tool that Chelsea has created for us to prototype, and then feeding some of that information back. So once again, while our last friends are joining us, you're going to need something to write on. You're going to need something to write with, and you're going to need an open mind. Okay. So Chelsea Hassler happens to be my neighbor. She's also a brilliant user experience designer. So if you see or know beautiful websites, Chelsea knows how to do all that stuff. She's busier than busy right now. I'm so pleased that she could squeeze us in. She's a startup entrepreneur. She's an advisor to people who have entrepreneurial ventures going. She's one of the most creative and positive people I've met in the last year. And I think you're going to find her absolutely delightful. So with that, the final cue I'll give you about Zoom is in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, there's a speaker view and there's a gallery view. And if you're on speaker view right now, then my head is the biggest thing you're seeing on your screen. But if you tap that and put it on gallery view, you're gonna see an amazing sort of Hollywood Squares situation pop up. And on my screen, which is enormous, we have 4 screens of people online today. We have 89 people coming along to play this game, which in the land of Zoom webinars is damn good. So let's have a party. I'm gonna throw it over to you, Chelsea. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you for the intro, Rebecca. I'm so excited to be prototyping with you all today. And I think basically, if we want to talk about ground rules for this game, it is that there are no bad ideas and there are no ridiculous answers. So today is really about stretching our imaginations and kind of exploring this together. So as Rebecca mentioned, what you're going to need today is just a piece of paper and a pen. And so what we're going to be doing is basically science has shown us that when we're stressed out and we're anxious or we're in a moment of crisis, it's a lot harder for us to make wise choices. And right now in this once in a lifetime opportunity for an inflection point in our community, what we really need are wise strategic thinkers. So how we're going to start out with this game is we're going to break everyone into groups of 3 or 4. And we're going to have one person be the scribe. So amongst yourselves, you can choose one person who's going to take notes, who can kind of report back to the group. So we, as Rebecca said, we can harvest all of this brain power and just refine this going forward. So
Chelsea,
I think,
can I make a quick note on that?
yes.
The best way for you guys to harvest, if you decide to be the scribe, is if one person in your group might be willing to like open a Word document, because we'd like you to scribe out in that kind of a digital way so that you can copy and paste it into the chat, because the chat is going to be like the big bucket that we're going to collect all your feedback in. So when you get broken into your small groups to play this fear flipping game, that's when one of you is going to want to say, I'll take the notes on a word processing, soft word processing situation. Thanks, Chelsea.
Perfect. Yeah. So I know that we've all been immersed with the news lately, and there's so much uncertainty going on right now. And for a lot of people, that translates into fear. So the first thing that we're going to do is just kind of welcome that fear at the beginning, acknowledge that it's here, and kind of try and figure out a strategic way that we're going to then deal with it. So right now, we're going to break into the small groups. And our prompt with the group is for everyone to consider is, what is your number one fear related to your business or your industry or even your personal life in response to this COVID situation right now? So let's get started.
So quick question, Chelsea. After I send them into their breakouts, they're just discussing this question and then we're coming back?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to put them in groups of 4 and I'm going to give a total of 7 minutes. 7 minutes. So that means everybody has about 1 minute and 20 seconds to share their fear. Here we go.
All right.
I'm creating breakout rooms right now. You will have 3 to 4 people in your breakout rooms, 22 total rooms. You will be seeing a prompt in just a second that says you've been asked to join a breakout room. And again, the question is in the chat, what is your number one fear? All right, people are moving to their breakout rooms. Interestingly, we had a few people join as we were making that announcement, so I'm not exactly sure where they're going to end up.
Okay. I think people still get slotted and just assigned to breakout rooms when they join, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. There are a few breakout rooms that aren't populated yet. Please, George, we're going to assign you to the best breakout room. Please join and discuss your greatest fear. There we go. Okay. Yeah, good.
Yeah. And once your team is kind of coalescing and coming up with this fear, once you feel like you've landed on it, we can go ahead and start just sharing that back to everyone in the chat. But please take your time to really get to the bottom of it.
They won't be able to actually hear you, Chelsea. We have to, if you want to let them know that, you have to type it into the chat to everyone. Okay. Yeah.
So is it just when everyone gets back from their breakout room, then we can tell them? Oh, okay, that works. It's only meant to be about 1 minute long, so.
Yeah.
Awesome. I've found some very encouraging real life news articles lately.
Is that one that you sent me?
Yes. Yes, I loved it.
So Rebecca and Amina, people are in breakout rooms right now doing a real short activity. You're right where you should be. You will get dispatched to a breakout room in the next kind of round of this game. What people are discussing right now is what their greatest fear is at this time. So that's just to let you know what's happening. And Chelsea, I think for the round, when we have them write the headline, let's have them think about their community. You know, community is something they can kind of all share and get around. Because I'm worried if we have them focus on my business, well, I can't really identify with your business because I'm not it. Yeah, so. Good deal. I'm going to send a message to everybody saying that half of the time is up.
Perfect.
5 minutes left. Please make sure everyone contributes. I shared the fear flipping PDF to the big chat, but I'll do it again to make sure everyone has it.
And I can when I go through the instructions with the group, I can also share my screen so we have a visual of that.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Walk everybody through it at the beginning.
Sweet. Do you have, you saw that you have the co-host controls?
Yes. Yes.
So,
my screen.
Perfect. I just want to make sure that was all good.
There. That's like a Zoom Pro move that I learned today. Okay. Okay.
Touch up my appearance. No kidding. That's right. That's right.
I dreamt of a shower today, but unfortunately that's going to have to be a short-term goal that I realize maybe this afternoon.
Oh gosh. I know you're so busy. I'm so glad you can take time for us.
I love it. Yeah. Just wonderful work.
Rebecca Johns, I'm sending you the PDF. You saw it there. Okay. Can you just give me a thumbs up if you can open it? Thank you. Sometimes people have had a hard time with PDFs or links that I've sent, so just want to make sure. All right, 2 minutes. And the other kind of the Zoom Pro move is when you send them to breakout rooms, when you close the rooms, it gives them 60 seconds to come back in. So you always want to close the room a minute before the timed event is done. So it'll be in 38 seconds that I close the rooms, then they've got a minute to come back. And the other thing I've noticed is the more they're going at it in their rooms, the longer it takes people to come back in. It's so interesting. Like, you know, the breakout is going well when nobody comes back in after you close the room.
Well, now everyone's in a frenzy of what I felt like such a crazy person because I tried this experiment on my Instagram today as well, soliciting people, what is your biggest fear? And so I'm really happy that we can do the denouement of this where we take this frenzy and turn it into something positive.
Right.
Like, that's the meeting.
Right. Okay, I just gave them the 1 minute copy warning, that's chat warning, and now I'm closing their rooms. So they'll have a minute to come back in.
Perfect.
Here we come. I'm gonna put it on gallery view so I get to see boop, 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 boop. There they come, there they are, there they are. Now that we got everybody nice and scared. Welcome back. Welcome back from fear and anxiety. Welcome back, everyone, from fear and anxiety land. About a third of you are back. The other third are rooms full of extroverts who can't stop talking. Wonderful, wonderful to see you all. We're almost full, Chelsea. We got 74 back.
Perfect. All right. So it looks like we're just getting the last few people trickling in from the breakout rooms, and we're really curious to hear how that went for you. And now would be the time for everybody to share in the chat what your group came up with. What is it that you're most concerned about right now?
Yeah.
And Rebecca, maybe you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Nancy, group 14, the first one's in, evidently gold star for team 14. Nancy says health and safety and well-being of over 400 emergency response folks. In Nebraska, health and safety of our staff. How do we transition to a new normal as an organization? And Vancouver is in the house. The uncertainty. Some are following social distancing, some aren't. There's more emotion from Vancouver, more emotion that you're feeling every time we make decisions or do something. And Gergen, right there, group 2, concerned about ability for local government employees to resume whatever normal is. Worried that my parents might get sick. I'm gonna jump down here, Todd Kukan. He's loving, he got to be with another chamber person. He's feeling very happy about that. Carrie B, number 1 fear from group number 8. Won't be able to raise money in the nonprofit environment, safety and health of loved ones and everyone around us. Fear to be called back to large corporate offices. A lot of people are worried about that. What about when my work reopens and I don't want to go? Dawn Trucker says city representative, impact of diminished revenue, upward of 100 people per job site. One person gets sick and everything crashes down. Dawn she's a Futurist Camp alumni, and she runs a Shakespeare festival, and she says, I'm worried about people coming to shows. You know, I don't want to have shows if people are going to get sick. Jonathan Packer, group 12, health and safety again. Conversion, how do we convert in businesses to digital options? If you're in the meeting planning business, are people going to be afraid to come to my conventions? Jared is saying concerned about campaigning for an election during this time. Yeah, what do you do when you're not kissing babies and shaking hands? I'm going to skip down here to the bottom. Cricket Redmond. Well, I just saw crickets. Sorry, I'll go somewhere else. Ben Pair 3. Fears industry collapse. Funding leads to large staff cuts. Teams have to run very thin, meaning everybody gets burned out. And he also did the best cases. You're getting ahead of us, Ben. Linda Langston, fear of return of the virus, impact on the arts, addressing massive pain in the community, and we're not going to take this opportunity to do something different. I'm going to leave it there for now. If anybody wants a transcript of all the fears, I'm happy to provide it. Just put your email in the chat. Let's get back to you, Chelsea. Help flip this fear.
Yes. Okay. Well, it sounds like we have a lot of material to work with. I'm sure. I know that when we were going through that list, there were so many things that I can relate to with friends and family and businesses. Yeah. So we all know how easy it is to kind of get into this negative thinking or assume the worst is going to happen. And as Rebecca mentioned at the very beginning, sometimes we see the opposite of that as just flipping back to normal. But we all know that normal wasn't the same as ideal. And so there's so much change right now. There's a real, once in a lifetime opportunity for us to, if we can come up with a plan, figure out how to implement a future that's even potentially better than the past. So we're going to figure out how to take a step back and in a structured way, in our little microcosm today, try and imagine steps to get there. So how this is going to work is we are going to take time to imagine, what if exactly the opposite of your fear happens? What does that look like? So for example, a lot of people we heard from said, what if I have to lay off my entire team, right? That's terrifying. But let's just take a moment and suspend that idea and think about, well, what if you actually somehow add seats to your team during this time, or you're able to keep everyone on? How could we make that a reality? So to be able to get into this mind state, what we're going to do is we're going to actually imagine that we are reporting from the future as a news anchor onto this optimistic future. So I'm going to share my screen with you and walk everyone through it. So can everybody see my screen right now?
We can see it, Chelsea. And this, by the way, is the PDF that's also been put into the chat. It's called Fear Flipping. You're welcome to download it for yourself. Chelsea's going to walk us through it. Go ahead.
Great. So I felt really inspired because I actually, when I went into making this template, I was Googling and I saw all of these actual news articles from businesses who were able to proactively pivot, or communities who had implemented programs. And there are these real headlines all over the world of this actually happening. So let's imagine in our communities, this is our idealized future. So to make it tangible, here's the template. So we're going to get back in our small groups again, and we're going to talk about the exact opposite of that fear. And so if you were reporting on the best case scenario that could possibly happen, what is the main image that comes to mind? What would your hero banner be for this news article? what would the headline be? And then try and think of a couple people in your community, real people, that you could get quotes from for this, talking about how you made this recovery or how you got into this position. So in a sense, we're kind of reverse engineering this idealized future. So the by the numbers panel is just some interesting facts or numbers related to the story. And if you want to add some illustrations, go ahead. This is all very generative. So this is a time where we can break out our pen and our paper with our small groups and start sketching. And once you do that, you can kind of coalesce that into one article, and then we're going to come back and share that with the group.
The one piece of coaching that I'd like to offer, and this is a giant experiment here, right? So the one piece of coaching I'd like to offer you is this. You all shared a fear that was very individual to your community or even to yourself, you know, people who wrote about fear of their parents getting sick or whatnot. In this activity, what we'd like you to do is focus, you know, flip that fear on its head and to do it for a community, right? So think about if that's, you know, a make-believe community, or if there's a community that you can all agree on, which is probably not going to be the case because you're coming from all over North America for this workshop. But think about the best possible headline that could happen in a community and fill in that that sheet, that masthead, that it's, you know, that's the cover of a newspaper. That's the cover of a magazine right there. And go ahead and use your sketch pad, use your tools, put this in your body, use your creativity. What could that look like? So again, you're going to go back with your same room. You already made friends, so there you go. So there are a few people who've been added since we went into breakout rooms. So please, if yours is a breakout room that gets a new person, please welcome those folks in. And for this activity, we're going to give you 15 minutes. And I will give you a 5-minute warning, and then you'll get that 1-minute warning. But your group has 15 minutes to come up with a great headline that flips that fear right on its head and tells the story of how that community made that headline come true. Here we go. We're going to open these rooms back up. Somebody's going to need to be your scribe. 15 minutes. Ooh, they're really joining fast. It's awesome. That's such a nice feature to be able to keep the breakout rooms with the same people. So good.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so curious. I wish I could be a fly on the wall of all the conversations that are happening.
Do you want to be in a room?
No.
Okay. Because you can if you want to be.
Actually, yeah. I would love to be.
Okay, I'm going to put you in with Don McPherson.
Okay, perfect.
I think you have to unhost. I think you have to not be a host.
Okay, let me figure out how to do that.
Yep. And I'm going to see.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, great.
I'm assigned to breakout room 21.
Great, go for it, girl.
Carol Baskin fan experience. We're just stronger than ever.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We still got a few people coming back in. If I call your name, I'm going to call 5 names. If I call your name, I'm going to ask you to just do a quick report out of your headline and maybe one idea underneath the headline. So the names I'm going to ask to take themselves off mute in just a moment are Danielle Lee, Dennis Tierman, Don McPherson, Linda Langston, and Charlie Grantham. So I know that these are 5 different rooms. If you were not in one of those rooms, don't panic, because we want everybody to be able to share some of their headlines in the chat here. So, all right, let's start with Danielle Lee's room. Danielle, I don't know if you were the reporter outer, but would you speak on behalf of your group? Take yourself off mute. And what was the headline? Danielle?
Okay, I think I wasn't the note taker for our group, but essentially, Lynn, COVID-19 sparks the largest surge of innovation in U.S. history. I think that was, I don't think it's ours. It's a very similar echo to ours, but could one of the other 2 people in group 2 who
Yeah, no problem. You said Lynn was your kind of your note taker?
This is Lynn.
Yeah, Lynn, bring it.
Danielle, you were so close. It's COVID brings local innovation, comma, spurs resilience and sustainability in communities.
That is awesome. So using COVID-19 as the springboard for innovation, resilience, that's fantastic. All right, put yourselves back on mute. I know there's a lot of homeschooling going on there. Awesome. Sorry, girl, I should have thought of that before I called on you. All right, Dennis Tierman, I know there's no homeschooling going on where you are. Would you take yourself off mute and either pass the torch to another member of your group or tell us what your headline was?
Well, Jamie was capturing ideas. I don't know, Jamie, if you are able to repeat them, but essentially it was having a shared experience, a shared fear experience brings people together to have more compassion and more creativity into the future. Jamie, if you want to fill in anything I didn't catch.
Yeah, I would united in purpose, the community rises. And that some other kind of the subheadings that we talked about are that, life and living matter. And so schools on upend 150-year history of education and in a continuous learning model. 40-hour work week is replaced with just get the work done policies, and we live a life that's worth living.
Oh man, Dennis and Jamie Berglund were in the same room. That's dangerous right there. Okay, Don McPherson, you were in, I think you were in team number 1. Can you either pass the torch or report out for your group? What was that big headline, Don?
Yeah, I'll try to take a shot at it. We talked a lot about homeless and unused bandwidth. And so our headline would go something like cruise ship industry and college students work to address homeless problems. So what we're thinking about is the cruise ship industry in my mind is dead, or it's going to be a long time before 5,000 people will go on one of these cruise ships. So they're going to be docked. Why can't we go and have homeless go on cruise ships, and maybe even tiered based on what type of help they need, and then university students or people who may have lost their jobs go and help them with skills building or addressing mental health, things like that. So I'll be quiet.
That is wonderful.
That's what we talked about.
That is fantastic. I was waving at your daughter. She's getting so big. Okay, Linda Langston and Charlie Grantham, you're on deck. Linda, do you want to report out or pass it over?
Eben has put some stuff up and I took some notes, so we'll see. Our headline was Resilience Lives. I know you find that shocking, Rebecca. That 2021 festivals scheduled, museums open, 85% small businesses reopen. We celebrate equity over efficiency with $15 minimum wage statutes. Public health hires hundreds to do contact tracing.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
And we were big on the arts. We were talking about what great murals or pictures or anything we could paint to be excited.
Oh, that's art in this time it's never been more critical. Thank you. All right, Charlie Grantham, you're the caboose today, buddy.
we were all about community and how to build community. And I just sent you an email. Cricket had to jump off. And in the email, there's a PDF. If you could pull it up, we created the visual ad.
Pulling it
Better
up right
together.
now. Yep. Holy smokes. Okay, I'm going to do a share screen. You know what? It's too bad that everyone is so, I don't know, unskilled and untalented on this group. So
We'll get there.
here's the group 6 story. I'm making it a little bit bigger so that you can see it. Charlie, are you seeing it?
Yep, that's it. Together and better. The whole idea is community centers where folks can come together and renew. And it can also be a site for, as we said, local tourism and just simply building stronger relationships. You'll notice the symbol we've got is multicolored to highlight the necessity for diversity in the communities. And we ran out of time.
Yeah, of course. This is an impossible task in 15 minutes, but it was the experiment that we wanted to run today. So,
Give us another 15 minutes and we would have pulled up a short YouTube video.
You would have had a YouTube video. You would have had a network of 100 communities already organized around this. There's no stopping you. This is great. So Chelsea, you've heard a little bit from these folks, and we're going to read a few things out from the window here, from the chat window. Liz Horton said, "Never again" is the headline. Adequate access to resources and support for all. Dan DeMoy Newton, he sent an image as well, but he says, fear flipping strikes me as a variant of a Rip Van Winkle exercise. That's right. Herlinda Korn says, communities stronger. Tracy Tritle says, Group 9 headline, community care continues on a comprehensive scale. A lot of alliteration there. And she's got a series of sub-bullets there. Jamie Berglund says, we got this. Yes, that is a great headline. United in purpose, community rises, booming economy, employs people at record numbers, the 40-hour work week. She mentioned some of these things. Brett Baker, room number 21 headline, nationwide vaccine released. So reach out to your medical provider today so you can return to life. Liz Horton's got some stuff in there. Bob Duffy's got community comes together and rebounds for good. If you haven't yet reported out on your headline, you can do it in so many ways. You can take a screenshot, you can type it in the chat. We've got, my email is rr@RebeccaRyan.com. I'll put that in the chat if you want to email me your visuals or any feedback you have about today's session. So there's my email in the chat. And if you'd like the kind of the printout, the readout of today's information, please put your email in the chat because we want you to be able to be inspired and use these tools as well. Chelsea, how do you want to pull all these strings back together?
Wow. Good question. Well, thank you everybody for participating. I was getting chills, feeling so inspired about the community resilience that we've all been talking about. And I guess I would actually like to open it up to the group if anyone has suggestions of how we can keep this moving forward. I think a great thing first is for us to just collect any feedback you have. I'll also put my email in the chat and we will follow up with you so you can respond back to us. And
Yeah.
would love to see pictures of any of the drawings that you made as well.
Yeah, so there's what we've done together here and how this can help those of us who are trying to help people write better stories. Thank you. So there's the tool itself, but then there's also how did the tool work? I mean, we know that there were problems downloading the PDF for some of you, that didn't come through. You didn't have Chelsea's template. So that's something we know we've got to work on. Were there better questions, better prompts? So any kind of critical insider information, we encourage you to put it in the chat first and foremost. But if the chat doesn't work for you, if you'd like to take yourself off mute and share that, we'll take a few of those now. And then I've got some closing comments as we move back into our Friday in North America.
Hey, Rebecca, this is Mac in Carrollton, Missouri. I wanted to shout out to the educators. Our headline was the transformation of the education system is complete. No child was left behind.
Mac,
So
from your mouth to God's ears. And we can do this. We can absolutely do this. Vanjie says an editable PDF would be more efficient. Yes, yes, it would be. Thank you so much. Oh man, you know, we were like, let's just try it. So that's great. A lot of you coming in with your emails for sure. Linda says, please ask people how they feel, both talking about fear and then how they feel when they talk about a bright future. I bet you saw the posture change, right? You know, this morning I did an exercise. It wasn't for work, it was for a hobby that I have. And I said, embody fear. And everybody got so crouched down. And then I said, embody hope. And everybody got so big and uplifted and right. And even in our breathing and in our posture, we have choices about how we face the day. That's a great note, Linda. Oh yeah, Vanjie, thank you. The idea of seeing the word clouds. Some of you are so fast that you just created word clouds. If you scroll all the way up in the chat, you can see the word clouds that people created from the fear exercise, for example. John Warren says this approach works for a challenging time. The frustration of solving the fear was a great exercise. It really is something kind of dynamic when you say, all right, tell me your worst fear. Now, could we write a headline of the opposite and how could it come true? How do we help each other find hope from Hart Edmonds? Yeah, how do we make those word clouds? We'll put a Wordle. Wordle is the one that a lot of people use, WORDLE. You just copy and paste all your copy into Wordle and boom, it'll create a word cloud for you. Don't want to be a downer, but without the action plan, this exercise risks creating a castle in the cloud. Absolutely. Creating concrete future with a headline is perfect, but it requires a plan. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to end with that comment and with a couple of closing comments from me to you. Imagination is, of course, not enough, but we have to be able to use our imagination if we want to be able to start to create brighter futures. So this was our kind of first effort at helping people who are struggling to lift their eyes to do so. So this was kind of a maiden voyage, and we appreciate all of your feedback and your good counsel and your criticism and your headlines. We thank you for that. Here's the other thing that I want to say. I spend a fair amount of my time every week talking to people who really care, just like you guys. You know that our systems have been busted and messed up, and you know that this could be a moment to do something about it. And in my opinion, too many of us are looking to the right and to the left of us and saying, who's gonna like create the new vision? It's our time. It's our time. If you have the luxury of being in a position of any authority, with any budget, in a position of any influence, ask the question, what can we do here? What can we do here? Because I guarantee you that there are lobbyists and well-organized special interests who are right now telling their legislators and their councils what needs to be done. And oftentimes do-gooders, maybe because we're collaborative or maybe we think somebody else has a better idea than us, we sit back. And so what happens is others rush in. I was listening to the Energy Gang podcast 2 weeks ago, and these are people who really care about clean energy, clean tech. And they said, this is our time. If we don't start stepping in and talking about how clean energy solutions are a co-benefit for the economy and for the environment, our message is never going to get through. And I'm hearing this so often from leaders I deeply respect, who are saying, I don't know if I should be the one to really step up in this time. It is our time. It is our time. So who do you need to take up arms with? What is it that you can do that can help your community move forward in a way that fixes the parts of us that are broken? It is our time. Do not wait. Do not wait. If you wait, we are just going to snap back to the way it was before. Please don't wait. I'm going to leave you with that. Happy Friday, y'all. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Hey, Rebecca, if you stay on for 2 seconds, somebody wants to say hi to you. Come here.
Do I have a joke teller in the house?
You do. Come here. Say hi.
Hey, Al, stay on for this. You see my friend Al, he's down in Florida. Yep, and we've got, oh man, we got a
Right,
whole bunch of our
Stella.
friends. This is Stella, and Stella has a wicked sense of humor. And Stella, my girl, do you have a joke?
You got a joke today?
No.
No, she's not ready. You'd be like,
There's been nobody to tell jokes to.
oh, honey girl. your
There's
mom's
been
got my
nobody to tell
number.
jokes to. She has been writing letters though. She's been writing letters to her grandparents, waiting for letters in the mail.
Here's a pen, Stella.
Yeah, good old fashioned pen pals. Okay.
Awesome. Hey, Stella.
That
It's good to see
smile-
you, baby. Isn't
That
that
smile
lovely?
could cure the coronavirus, you know.
That's right, John. It could. It could. Lynn, it's great to
Okay.
see you. Take care.
Thank
Al
you.
Loisel, my friend. How are you doing? Take yourself off mute, amigo. There you go.
Hi, I just unmuted. Hi, I'm doing great. And this was a terrific, as usual, you are the light, the bright light.
Yes.
And, this was a wonderful program, and our little chat session with Jeannie, she had some terrific ideas that were more global and started community and went global as
Wow.
to the positives of this.
So John, I know you're on too. Ben, I see your black box, and you might be doing other things at this point. Who else was in your group, Al? I mean, geographically, who did you have, Al?
Well, Gene, there were only 3 of us to start with, Gene, and then when we reconvened, the third person, and I didn't write his name, was not there and didn't come back in. So it was only Jeannie and I.
Okay.
But she was going to try to send you a picture of what, and she had a great headline, I thought. It was same, different, but same.
Oh, that's so great. I bet it's in the chat here somewhere. This chat is just bursting with ideas.
She had some great global, went from community to global. Yeah.
You're so lucky. She's so lucky
Nice
she got
to
to be
see
with
you.
you, Al. Yeah, same here. John Warren, how are things in Austin, Texas, amigo?
Oh, things are good. Well, not as good as you can imagine. But thank you so much for throwing. This is almost like getting a life preserver out on a, on a rough ocean. So it's really nice that you're doing these, and that you bring together such brilliant minds to
It's astonishing
work on,
to me. I mean,
solutions like this.
Yeah, I could never get this group of people in a normal time. They'd just be too flippin' busy. So it feels like amazing to have this group on. And I hope you don't think we're being too Pollyannish. We've been focusing a lot on hope and opportunity, but we feel like there's so much damn bad news out there. We have to help people see, like,
we need that right now. We need that right now. Every time I turn on the news, I feel like what you're talking about, posture and all that kind of stuff. I feel like I go more inward and basically balling up in a fetal position, pretty much. When you hear all the bad news, you need something to sort of force us out of that. To be able to say, you have to think, in the darkest times, you have to think about how bright the sun's going to be again one day, and how wonderful the world's going to be. But the only way to make that happen is for you to make it happen, and not to accept, that we just snap back to the way things were. This virus it's exposed so many fault lines, and it's great that we can sit down and go, how do we make sure that if we, God forbid,